Psychology study of mind and behavior. Psychology may best be described as the scientific study of behavior and mental process. Best describe behavior and mental processes. And Freud was among the first to suggest that the abnormal behavior. Freud is the psychologist cost behavior. Learning theories explain attachment of infants to their parent in terms of learning theories explains attachment of infants to their parents attachment of conditioning parents to their parents. Learning theories explain attachment of infants atoms conditioning. Freud was among the first to suggest the abnormal behavior is psychology cost. First to suggest that abnormal behavior which of the following is not a common symptom of depression. Delusion. Following is not a common symptoms of depression. Delusion. Basic assumption of humanistic theory include humans are basically good and worthy. The basic assumption of humanistic theories include rotational emotive theory is a type of psychoanalysis. Rotational emotive theory therapy. Actually, rotational emotive theory is a type of psychoanalysis. Human beings respond to their subjective cognition about their world rather than to the objective environment is an argument of effectiveness. Arrangement for effectiveness. Cognitive therapy. Human beings respond to their subjective cognitions about their world. What procedure is used by the experiment to determine whether the difference between the condition is experimented large enough for us to have confidence in its validity. Scientific application of psychological theories is method of techniques. Several practical human problems describe an area of psychology known as applied psychology. Applied psychology. Delusion referred to thoughts or beliefs that have no basis in reality. Thoughts or basis, no reality. Delusion. How can morality covertly enter the therapy sessions? Morality by allowing an insane person into therapy. Psychophysics is study of the relationship between sensory attribute and physical energy. Sensory attributes. Psychophysics. Structuralism and functionalism are similar in that path. Structuralism and functionalism regard psychology as the science of a conscious experience. Structuralism. SR psychology is an approach associated with the perspectives. Behavioral. SR psychology is an approach associated with perspective behavioral. Psychologists who are interested in the perception of a motion, but whole relationship and how people judge size were identified with school of psychology. Psychologists who are the interest in the perception of human motion, but whole relationships and how people judge size were identified with the school of psychology Gestalt. Relationship of people. The term phenomenology refers to science of perception. Phenomenology is science of perception. Term phenomenology refers to psychology. Psychophysics is the study of the relationship between the sensory attributes and physical energy. Psychophysics is the study of a relationship between psychophysics, sensory attributes and physical energy. Which is the following is an example of extrinsic motivation. Doing a good job in order to get a pay raise. Extrinsic. Source of frustration include frustration, environmental lacks, environmental obstacles, incompatible motives. Environmental lacks. Which of the following is the best example of a primary reinforcing? Food. Following is the best example of primary reinforcing. Food. Norms are influenced by. Norms are all surrounding culture, surrounding subculture, context of the situations. Norms are discrepancy between the attitudes lead to prejudice. Discrepancy between attitudes leads to prejudice. Many of the neo-Freudians have modified Freud's original theory of personality to give more emphasis on conscious forces. Many of neo-Freudians Many of neo-Freudians have modified Freud's original theory of personality to give more emphasis on conscious forces. Self-assertive behavior is an example primarily of survival motives. Self-assertive behavior is an example of primary survival motive. Self-assertive behavior. Center of the Freud theory is the thoughts, attitude, impulses, wish and motivation of which we are unaware, unconsciousness. The center of a Freud The center of a Freud theory is the thoughts, attitude, impulses, wish and motivation of which are unaware, unconsciousness. Center of Freud theory is the thoughts, attitude, impulses, wish and motivation of which are unaware, unconsciousness. Center of Freud theory is the right thoughts, attitude, impulses, wish, the motivation, unconsciousness. Freud theory, thoughts, attitude, impulses, wish. Developmental psychologists believe that two factors that influence human development are motivation and emotion. Developmental psychologists believe that two factors, motivation and emotions. Concept of intelligence is closely related to learning. Concept of intelligence is closely related to learning. Closely, most acute test assesses creativity. Most acute test assesses creativity. A need to establish and maintain relations with other people. Need for affiliations. A need to establish and maintain relationship with other people. Need for affiliation. Bonuses, recognition awards, pledges and time of improve motivation through the applicant of reinforcement. Bonus recognition awards, pledges and time. The bonus recognition awards, pledges and time of improve motivation through the application of reinforcement. Business recognition awards, pledges and time of improve motivation. Deficiency motivation is to abundance motivation. Primary is to secondary. Deficiency motivation is to abundance motivation. The Thorndike law of effect was an early Thorndike was from present day of principle of Thorndike reinforcement. But the Thorndike law of effect in operant conditioning, negative reinforcement is type of punishment. Negative reinforcement is the type of punishment in operant conditioning. Positive reinforcement is the rate of responding. Negative reinforcement is the rate of responding. Positive reinforcement increase the rate of responding. Negative response decrease the rate of responding. Condition response may be eliminated by the withdrawing reinforcement. Condition response. Extinctions. Condition response may be eliminated by withdraw reinforcement. This is known as the ability. The ability to learn by the observing a model or receiving the instruction without reinforcement is called social learning. The ability to learn by observing a model or receiving the instructions without reinforcement is called social learning. Social learning. The ability to learn by the observing a model or receiving instruction without reinforcement. Social learning. Ability to learn by observing a model or ability to learn by observing a model or receiving instruction. Receiving instruction without reinforcement is called social learning. Social learning. Observing a model or receiving the instructions. Analysis of avoidance learning suggests that many phobias are acquired through conditioning. Classical analysis of avoidance learning suggests business recognition. Bonuses recognition awards, pledges and time of improved motivation through the application of reinforcement. Bonuses recognition awards, pledges and time. Awards, pledge and time of improved motivation through the application of reinforcement. Bonus recognition awards, pledge and time of improved. Concept of adaptation was introduced by Kohler. advance the study of personality. Here, so the using statistical method called factor analysis. Raymond B. Cattell advanced the study of personality traits by using statistical method called factor analysis. Another input process with a person that causes organism to move towards a goal. The motivation conflict is most present by the lesson of the two events. Motivation conflict. After the evidence, conflict is most present by the lesson of the two events. Following improve to acquire skills and reduces frustration and stress. Access to employee assistance program. Improves the worker skills and reduces frustration. Best definition of the psychotherapy is removal of the symptoms without with the patient complaints. Removal of symptoms without with patient complaints. Psychodynamic therapist to believe that maladaptive behavior stems from